Okay, guys, we're still doing this. It's still South by Southwest. We're still doing movie interviews, this time with Pocky and
Courtney.
And right now we have the wonderful director of
Artist and Repertoire.
Artist and Repertoire. I keep wanting to say sound for some reason. Artist and Repertoire, and say your name.
My name's Matthew Jones. I'm the director.
You're the
Thanks
director.
for having me.
Yes. Now, real fast, explain, because some people may not know what the movie's about. What is the movie about?
The film is a music documentary, kind of a hip-hop documentary in many ways, about an underground DJ icon called James Lavelle. It's set across 3 decades, 25 years of this guy's life. We see him grow up from 14 to 40. We see him start his own record label called Moax, discover some fantastic artists, most famously DJ Shadow, big American artist. And it's about the trials and tribulations and the rock and roll lifestyle that go along with running your own record label and starting your own supergroup and working with some of the most famous artists across the last 20 years. So.
Radiohead, a bunch of...
Uncle DJ Shadow, he said. He was wasn't he a millionaire by 21?
Yeah, and it's just that classic rock and roll thing. You know, he starts out working in record stores when he's 14, decides, I've got to make my own record label. Borrows £1,000 off a friend and, you know, brings Moax into the ether, and Moax is a huge success, and we document that whole experience and through archive and also personal home video footage. So it's kind of very much a rock and roll lifestyle, because at the end of like sort of a 6-7 year period, it all falls apart. The financing deal he has with a major label falls apart, and it all starts to fall apart. And James, we document James, unfortunately, the breakup of his relationship with his wife, and then he tries to rebuild. He starts a second record label. We document him working on the Uncle Project, which is a collaborative music band where he worked with a who's who of world music, such as people like Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age, Ian Brown from the Stone Roses, DJ Shadow most famously, but people like Jarvis Cocker, Badly Drawn Boy. So there's a real ensemble cast of musicians that kind of work with James across the years.
You also treat a bit of a story narrative. You don't actually use flashbacks. You actually use footage that James gave you to tell the story.
Yeah, James, early on in the process, basically took us into a storage unit. He has this huge storage unit where he keeps all his stuff from over the years. And he gave us this box of tapes with formats I'd never seen before. One of them was a format called Micro MV, this tiny video footage.
I remember those.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's from the little Sony Handycams.
Yes.
And he hadn't even looked at that and looked at what was on it. And he gave us them very trustingly. And we had to buy a recorder off eBay to be able to play it into the computer. And we found some gems on there of stuff that's never been seen before, of him recording at Skywalker Ranch, George Lucas's place, where he recorded the Rabbit in the Headlights track with Tom York from Radiohead. It's been like, if we didn't have that trust with him, I don't think the film would be as good as it is, because he's really been amazingly trusting of us as a production and allowed us access into his life, which is what the film's all about.
It's a very raw look too. I mean, there's no, I would say, no kid gloves, no holding back, as it were. Where you get some documentaries, they're like, can we make this guy look a little bit not so bad of a person? Or, well, I mean, not James is a bad person, but like you guys actually do show James at his best. His worst is picking himself back up. You guys show it as a very raw format, a very raw style.
Yeah, I think audiences never identify with those fluff pieces, which is like where the artist is in complete control of what goes out. I think James is very... He knows what audiences will feel is true and what people then relate to. And I think he's been through some real struggles. So, that's what's compelling about this story, is that it's not just all sweetness and light. There are some real dark moments in his life and things he's had to overcome. Debt and drug addiction, which are documented in the film. But also, I'd like to think it's a positive film about a go-getter attitude, about believing in the dreamer and all artists. And so it has a positive outcome as much as it goes to some dark places.
Yeah. You said he picks himself up. I mean, that's got to play a major role in this production. Did it? Or, I mean, was it during production that he had that little break and then...
we started filming in 2006.
So you've been doing this for a while.
The film's been nearly a decade in the making, So it's been a labour of love for everyone involved. But a lot of his darkest periods happened and are seen through archive footage. So we haven't filmed his whole life since, the film starts in the late 80s, ends in 2014. So we've been there for like about half of it. So, he's been really open to letting us show the reality of his life, and that's... it's great that he's allowed that, because I think it makes for a really special one-off film.
Yeah, he really did find... You were telling me some of the talents because I don't know producers very well. I mean, I know the artists, well. And you were like, I did not realize how much of, as I like to put it, like what a lot of us considered are like the soundtracks of our youth or the soundtrack thing. Like when you said Radiohead, DJ Shadow. I mean, this guy found so much just really wonderful talent. I mean, was it hard for him to kind of pick himself back up? I mean, or was he really? Was it easy? A little bit. I wouldn't say easy, but like, hey, this is the guy who discovered these people. I want to be a part of his life. Like we kind of could understand.
Well, he's quite a unique individual because he's an A&R man, hence the name Artist and Repertoire, meaning the A&R department of a record label. The people responsible for new talent, the people going out there. I think we've got a fly in the room. Yeah. The people going out there who are responsible for finding new talent, finding new. Finding the new artist that's cool, such as DJ Shadow. He discovered DJ Shadow through a remix that Shadow did for a very obscure band called Zimbabwe Legit, and there was a B-side that James got given, which
you got him. I was like, I've been following this thing. Like, you can hear me.
The fly is gonna get it. No, sorry. So he has this side of him that's an A&R man. And he is like one of the best A&R men of the 90s, but he very much emerges as an artist in his own right through the Uncle Project. The Uncle Project being a collaborative band which he kind of leads, and he brings in collaborations, guest vocalists with people like Radiohead, Tom York.
Yeah.
He worked with people like Massive Attack. So that kind of every song is different, and every song has a different batch of people working on it. So he kind of his re-emergence and the way he picks himself up is to make his own music and to like pour his creativity and where he is emotionally into each album. So yeah, you see him make 4 albums across the film.
Nice. Now you when you said that this is, you still have a little bit left on the film, but I have to ask this. I've heard sometimes some directors of people's lives when they do the documentaries, they say one of the most nervous moments they have is showing the person, if they're still alive, the documentary. How nervous were you to show James, hey James, this is what we've got now? Were you sitting in the back going, so is it the sword or what? How am I gonna?
Yeah, it was hard. I think anyone, if what would you feel like if you had to sit there and watch 2 hours of your life, not just your life, but the highlights of your life on screen, and all of the bad bits and all of the good bits? It would be a very emotional experience, and James took it as well as I think anyone would. I think it would be if someone was to sit me down and put my highlights of my entire life on screen for everyone to see. It's a very daunting, nervous thing. So, hats off to James for going through that process and allowing us to get this film out there. Without his support, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah. So we have to wrap up here. But if people want to find out more, like your screening, one of your screenings is tonight?
It's screening tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning.
At 11:30 a.m. at the Alamo Ritz.
Mm-hmm.
And we're screening later next week on Tuesday at the Toffler Theatre at 11 a.m. Topfer Theatre at Zach. And then on Thursday we screen at the Alamo Lamar at, I think it's 3 p.m.
Yes.
So,
and if people want to also find out, if not just here, other places, where can they find your movie?
You can find us on Facebook, find us on Instagram, Artist and Repertoire. Follow us on there, and then we're hopefully going to have a full-on release, public release later in the year.
So
nice.
If you guys are music fans, definitely take this out. James, you'll be surprised the people he discovered. You're like, oh, wow, I own like 3 of those albums or something. Yeah. But guys, we have to get going, unfortunately. But we still have more yet interviews to do, so check us out. Stay tuned and have some fun, because I know I am.
Nerd. I have a boba fetish. Let's go.
Oh.
I have a shirt. I need to get you that shirt, too. It says I have
What's
a boba
that?
fetish.
What's that? Oh.
It's only because we haven't done that yet.